Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jay with Move, and today's video is going to be a little different. A lot of honesty, a lot of personal issues, and I just thank you guys for watching this one, and I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's like a lot of writing, being a musician, it's like I wanna going from writing like secular music to like worship music. You can do both. And like with worship music, it's less for me because again, it's for the glory of God, but also at the same time, like I use what God's brought me through and what God's taught me in order to like further that, in order to, and like I can pour into that. I can be vulnerable and authentic about what God teaches me. Even that song that I wrote, it's just vulnerability of like wandering everywhere and just being like, I know I should just go back home. I'm gonna find my peace. I'm gonna find my joy where I belong, which is at home in the relationship with my heavenly Father. But even then, like that, like you go through stuff, and even in a song like that, you're not like, it's not so. I wrote this down. It was like there's a difference between praise and worship. And that praise is just telling God that he's great. And worship is telling God that you love him. So praise is like, God, you are amazing. You have enabled me to do all these things. You are the only reason I'm able to do all this. But worship is, I love you, God. I enjoy who you are. You are my Father. You provide for me all the time, and I give you thanks for that. I love you for that. You are a merciful Father. You are a loving Father. You love me this way. This is your character, and I love this about your character. And worship, like even if a song isn't directly praise, it can still be worship.
Right.
You know, it's a biblical, like even that song is a biblical song. It's like I'm not necessarily telling God he's great. I'm not praising God in this song. He deserves all the praise for it. I'm going to praise him for the fact that the song exists. But the song itself is an act of worship.
Right.
It's telling about God's character in a story sense. You know, even in Scripture, we don't necessarily just hear about God. We hear about the people of God. And we hear their story. We see them walk through so many stages of life, and we see them go through all the different types of stuff on their own. And then they go to God, and then God reveals his character and reveals who he is and how he's going to work through all of it. That's worship. I mean, reading about that and understanding that and spreading that is worship. It's revealing God's character. It's revealing who God is. And it's the same sense in a song. It doesn't need to just be praise unto God. It doesn't need to just be, God, you're great. Yeah, there's great songs like that, and we should do that. But also there's another aspect to that in worship. It's, God, this is what I've gone through. This is how I've walked in life. I've tried to do it my way. I've tried to go after my own desires. I've tried to do X, Y, and Z, and it got me nowhere. But the character of God is something that filled me. The character of God is something that gave me peace. It is something that I wasn't thirsty anymore. I thirsted no more. I ate and I was satisfied. I wasn't wanting more. You know, and being authentic and vulnerable in writing those songs is the biggest thing, because I mean, whether you plainly lay out exactly what you were going through or you just use a lot of metaphor in a broad sense, as long as it's coming from a vulnerable and authentic place in your heart and in your life, knowing that every lyric that you write down and every note that you sing and every word that you say is with authenticity, coming from a place like that you've walked through. Someone may not know exactly, like if you lost your father to cancer or something like that, and you go, oh, I've lost a friend, I've lost someone so dear to me. Someone's like, they may not know that's about your father, but somebody walking through a similar season in life can connect with that, meaning like I lost a significant other, or I lost something dear to me. It doesn't have to be the exact same situation. I mean, like everything in Scripture, it's like you don't have to be you don't have to walk through the exact same scenario as Moses in order to relate to Moses.
Yeah.
You don't have to do, like every story, you don't have to walk through exactly what they went through in order to relate to that. And it's the same thing with music. It's that you can be super broad or you can be super specific. And that's still going to move. That's still worship. And I've seen, like, you hear a good worship song and you're like, it's so authentic. It's real. It touches your heart. It's beautiful. And it's a gift. I mean, and I've known that, like, even like when you're, and even in writing music, like, I've sat down and I'm like, all right, I want to write a song. I know it's good for me to write a song. I know I want to do this. And I sit down and I'm like, I got nothing. I can't think of anything.
I'm lost.
Yeah, honestly, bro. And like, and then there's moments where I'm like walking through Walmart getting chips and I'm like, ooh, I got an idea. And it's like, bro, why is this at the worst time? But like, and it's more evidence that, like, you're not going to be able to do anything by your own strength. If you get a good idea, you're not the one that orchestrated that melody. You're not the one that wrote that song. God had that idea and put it in your mind so that you could flesh it out. It's the same thing with preaching a sermon. It's like, everything that you say is not your words. It's just something that's God's put onto your heart and told you that you now have an obligation to share with other people. It's not you being super prophetic, and it's not you being super intellectual and really smart. It's the fact that you've heard what God has put on your heart and you have chosen to share it with the world. And we have an obligation to do that. I mean, think about, like, if God told Moses, go tell Pharaoh, let my people go, and he goes, okay, and he didn't do it. Still be in Egypt, still be slaving away, wouldn't got to the promised land, nothing. What if, like anything, man, like if God tells you something that has moved you and God has spoken directly to you, I mean, the 10 Commandments, God gave Moses the 10 Commandments, knowing that he would share it with them. But that's the point. He had to share it with them. It's not meant for him to keep to himself. It's not meant for him to just know and for everybody to come up to him. There's a part later in Exodus where Moses' father, I think, comes up to him after visiting him in the wilderness after he's leading the Israelites, and he's like, oh, how are you, like, leading these people? And he says, well, they all come to me with their problems, and because I am in constant conversation with God, I'm going to lead them in telling them what the right decisions are to make. And I'm like, that's a good leader to me. I'm like, you're leading these people. And his father goes, that's a terrible way to do things.
What?
And he's like, what? I was locked in, bro. Yeah. And he's like, you should be teaching these people to do it themselves. You should be, the thought process that you have and the heart that you have to go to God and constantly rely on God, you should be pouring that into them and teaching them to do exactly what you're doing so that they don't need you. You shouldn't be the judge or the middleman when they can be doing it themselves. That you should be teaching them the ways that you're walking in so that they can reflect what you're doing. Don't keep it to yourself just so that, it's great that you know it and that's all you're responsible for. And you can't, even if you tell people continuously about something, you're not going to be able to guarantee that they're going to comprehend it. But still, you have an obligation to share what God's put on your heart with other people. I mean, God being the CEO and the creator of the universe, like, I think Pastor Brooks talked about it at one point, like, how much do I have to love you in order to go to the creator of the universe and ask him for help with you? Like, that's deep. That's like, because I know how capable and how willing and how easy it would be for him to just take care of you.
Right.
Not to say he doesn't, but he's got it. If anybody's capable, it's him. I mean, he created us, and like how deeply I have to love and care for somebody in order to bring them and pray for them. And it's the same thing. It's like, if the creator of the universe tells you something, how selfish do you have to be to keep it to yourself? Like,
come on,
bro, this, like, something that changed my life. And I'm like, that's amazing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I put that into the same concept as the podcast. It's like, all these things are happening to me. All these good things are happening to me. All these rough things are happening to me. And I'm just like, I ain't gonna bring this up in a podcast. It's not the point, But like, I want to impact people. And just like the same thing how you're, writing worship music, you want to make that impact. You want to let people know, like, hey, like, I've been through this. Somebody be like, well, dude, I just went through the same exact
Shoot,
thing.
that sounded like exactly what I did.
And just from a listener standpoint, because, you're the writer, I'm the listener most of the time. I like to listen to music that I can relate to, and I feel like, man, I've been there before. Like, I feel that. And it just feels, I feel like a more emotional connection to it. It's when you are listening to a song and I'm starting to get more musically inclined being around you a lot more. When you put music theory and also life and your path with God all in the same, that's dangerous, dog. Like, that's like so impactful. Just on a lot of worship music that I listen to, Brandon Lake, or just throwing names out there. Anybody who wrote music, they write a song. Well, I just failed, and Lord, I hope you don't turn your back on me. And it's like, dude, that's so real. Like, I like music that feels like that, but I feel like impact can come in different ways. Just like as you said, like, why would I be like Moses? Why would I be Moses and then be like, oh well, yeah, God wanted me to share this with you, but however, no,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And that's how I use this podcast as a open door for that. Like, I want to come on here, impact people. I want to talk about my life. I want somebody else to come on here and talk about their life, because I may never know who that may impact. Like, I've been impacting people. I have been, but I don't want the glory for it. I want God to get the glory for it. It's not about me. Yeah, this is great. I want to keep doing it, but it's not for my popularity. It's not for my, like, yeah, I got a podcast. Yeah. God, nah, bro, nah, definitely not.
It's about me.
It's about me. Like, no, I definitely don't want to be like that. I definitely want it to be one of those things where God gets the glory for it. If you know me and you see me that I have the podcast, great, bring it up to me. That's awesome. But don't idolize me, because that's not what this is about.
I'm just a child of God,
I'm just
like
a child
you
of
are.
God, just trying to explain to other people and show other people, like, this is real. My life is no better than yours because I'm going through this.
Bro, there's a Casting Crown song where the lyrics are, I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul. And that's the basis of it, bro. It's like, who am I? I'm dirt, bro.
Right.
I was literally made from dirt and ashes, bro.
Dirt and ashes.
And that's how I'm going to return.
Yeah.
Like, I am nothing. It's all him. Everything, the very act that I'm able to squeeze my hands and have a conversation with you and sit at this table is not because of anything I've done. I didn't create this table. I didn't give myself this body. I didn't give myself this voice. It's all him.
It's him.
I have no power.
I have no power to do anything. Like,
Yeah.
he's literally the one that gave me everything that I have right now. So, and that's that. I think that's in worship music and just having a podcast. I feel like there's a lot of correlation between the two. One is more musically, involved, and then, but at the same time, what comes together is the voice behind it, the lyrics, the words. Like, all that ties together. You can say the same exact thing that I'm saying on an episode in a song, and it just has just as much impact. And there's different ways to be impacted. Like you said. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just it's a circle. It's a circle, literally a loop on how it works. It's impact everywhere. Now, there's bad impact, but it's really, really how we're, putting ourselves into it, But, dude.
Like what you said earlier about, like, you hear a song and, like, you hear the lyrics and you're like, I relate to that. I understand that. I feel understood. And you get that sense of peace and that joy that know that
I'm not the only one.
I'm not the only one. I'm understood. And I think that we have, as people, and as humans, we're born with an innate drive to be understood. Like, for me personally, one of my biggest pet peeves and one of my biggest, like, struggles in life is when I try to explain something to somebody, especially, like, theology-wise, and they don't understand it. And I get so frustrated because I'm like, God, I know what I'm trying to say. I just know I'm not explaining it properly. How do I give me the words to properly portray this to somebody, whether it's in a debate or it's like holding a brother accountable, whatever it is. It's like I know that theologically and I'm sound, and I know that I'm in right standing with you in my heart. I know that this isn't judgmental. I know that this isn't condemning. I know that this is just, I'm trying to share what you've put on my heart. And I'm struggling to portray that to somebody. There's nothing to me that's more frustrating than that. And trying to have somebody understand me when they don't. And like tying back into like you hear a song and you feel so understood. You get that peace and that joy. We're born with that. And I'm so grateful and I praise God that when I'm praying, I don't have to worry about saying the right words. God knows my heart.
I love that you bring that up, because I've definitely come to the point of my prayer life where I don't have to worry about being like, okay, I have to say this exact word so he hears me. Like, I don't have to feel like that. I was just like, God, you know how I feel, and I'm going to explain to you how I feel in the best way I possibly can, but I know you can decipher what I'm telling you. And so, like, just recently what I've been going through, like, man, God, I don't know what to do. I need your help. Like, this has been hurting me. I feel like I haven't been leading. I haven't been, standing in the position that I should be in, and I feel like I'm letting myself down, but I know I'm failing you, and I'm so sorry for that. Like, I truly am. Like, I talk to him not like he's a friend, but I definitely talk to him like he's a loving father, because
you can have that relationship.
I can have
with
the
him.
relationship with him, and that ties back into our Marcus video where we're talking about relationship versus religion. I don't have to worry about having these perfect words. Well, I got to make sure I say, Lord thy God, before I start a prayer.
I wouldn't talk to you like that. I wouldn't talk to my dad like that.
No.
And it's like, if we're made in the image of God, he doesn't want to hear that either.
Yeah, he's like, dude, are you
It's
serious?
like, bro, what are you doing?
I'm not that type of guy, and that's where the relationship part comes in, and that's something I've been appreciating a lot more in my prayer life, especially your prayer life gets better when you're going through a lot. Like, when you're going through a lot and you have so much to just let off your chest, you're just like, God, I'm going to be honest with you, dog.
I don't know what else to do.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost.
Yeah.
I'm hurting right now. I need your help. I can't do this on my own. And that's when you grow more with God, and that's what I've been appreciating more in my prayer life. And my prayers don't always get answered right away. It may be a not yet, or maybe a no, or maybe a yes. I don't know. But the thing is, as long as I'm opening up to him, I'm okay. I love that.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to have the right words, and it's like, and I think in Revelation it describes Jesus with eyes of fire. And people usually think that like your eyes are on fire, like fire coming from your eyes. But I think like there was a video explaining the interpretation of that, and it's literally like God sees into your soul. It's not about like physical eyes of fire. It's about he knows when you're authentic. He knows every thought. He knows every emotion. He knows every single motivation for everything that you do. You can't hide a single thing from him. No matter what you do. It's like, whether you're conscious of it or not, he knows.
He knows.
And like, I'm grateful for that because like, there's been so many times where I've just been frustrated, or I don't know what to pray. Stuff's bothering me, and I don't have the words to say, and I literally just sit there and I just like, and I'm crying, and I'm not making any sense, and I have so much peace, and I'm so grateful that every emotion and every moment of that is understood and felt just as deeply.
Oh yeah, it has the same amount of impact as if you were talking and crying. Like, man, if you flipping out because you don't know what you're saying, how much you're going through, like, God is like, I understand, I get it, because I mean, Jesus came down and felt what we felt.
Yeah, it's like every single emotion that you feel, everything that you can go through, Jesus has walked through it.
Jesus walked right through it.
He knows firsthand exactly what you're feeling. Probably way worse than you do.
Way worse, bro. He got stoned. I mean,
bro was literally nailed to a cross, betrayed by his closest friends. Like
he had it worse than us, and here we are. We're complaining because we're hungry. Or we're complaining.
I haven't eaten since 2:00. And
it's like. You gotta. It's always hard because I always be like, man, I don't know if I could do this, but I'm like, I know I can do it. I mean,
I just really don't want to.
I just don't want to. I know that I can do it. It's man, but I have to think about Jesus was able to do it. I may not be able to do it as perfect as he did. I may not be able to be as pure as he was, but if him as a man, if he was able to achieve what he did, then I can at least work towards it and try my best to be like him, because that's in my prayer. Like, Jesus, I want to be like you. You you're a role model, man.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, you're a role model.
The role model.
The role model. Like, I want to be like you. And we're going to fail. We're going to fall down short. We're going to whatever, you know. But what is your reaction to that when you fail and fall short? You're just going to be like, well, all right. Well,
I failed. Oh, well.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I've been back and forth with that lately of where I'll fall short and fail and be like, man, well, I guess that's it. You know, and that's nothing but Satan attacking your spirit, straight up.
Bro, I think there's a Bible verse. I don't remember exactly what it is, and I might be misquoting it, so Lord forgive me. But it's like where it says a righteous man will fall 7 times and still get back up. It doesn't say a righteous man will fall 7 times and then sit there and give up. It says a righteous man will fall 7 times, every single sin, no matter how many times, but he gets back up. He doesn't just roll over and die. He gets back up. Doesn't matter how many times that righteous man is going to fall.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how many times he does it in the same way. Doesn't matter how many times he trips over the same stick. But he gets back up. He doesn't just sit there. He doesn't give up. He doesn't throw in the towel. He gets back up. That's the difference between the righteous man. It's like, and that's something that like I struggle with a lot. I'm like, how can I wear Jesus' righteousness that he bought for me? He laid down his righteousness and took on my sin so that I could have his righteousness. How can I even imagine that I have that righteousness when I act the way I do? It's like, bro, how can I be called a child of God when this is the way I act?
I'm over here acting like a baby,
bro. I'm such an idiot, bro. Like, and to think that God calls me his child, and not only that, but he's going to crown me with a crown of glory and give me riches, and he's going to reward me, and he's going to say, well done, good and faithful servant. I'm like, bro. I was selling the entire game, bro. And, like, of course, there's, like, I want to lock in. I want to do good, but I'm like, oh, gosh, man.
If it's one thing that I would say about my failures, and failures are going to come, like, for the rest of my life. It's going to happen. Mistakes are going to come regardless. But every time I come out of that season, I've been really, like, it's been up and down, dog. Like, I'm talking about one season, I'm like, bro, I don't want to do this no more. And then, like, a few days later, I'm just like, man, life is fantastic. And then a day later, I'm like, oh, I'm right back.
I don't want to do this no more.
But it's just every time I learn something new. It's always a faith tester. It's like, all right, well, you're good now. No, you're not. Let's see if you can praise me in this. And I feel like my failures and mistakes has been teaching me a lot. I'm a little hard-headed, so I'm sure God knows that for sure. He knows I'm hard-headed, so it's kind of hard for me to learn lessons sometimes. And it may take a few times of just like, all right, well, you ain't really get this one, so let me really do this to you. But I've learned from that, and it's hard. It really is hard because as a guy, you're so prideful. You decide, man, I'm gonna stay in my wicked ways. Like I'm not. Nah, I don't want to look like this guy.
No, answer nobody. I'm my own person. Yeah.
I'm this big Mr. Incredible guy. Like, nah, you bow down to me, forehead. You know, I don't. I've fallen into that before. You see me fall into that before. Where I'm just like, all right, well, you did this, so I'm just gonna sit like this in this attitude for like hours.
I'm gonna wait for you to make it right.
Yeah, and that's not right at all. It's not right to do that. It's immature for one. And I definitely would say like there's times where I'm really immature about a situation. Somebody raises their voice at me, well, I'm just gonna shut down and be quiet. Like, all right, you know. And I want to grow from that. I don't want to be stuck in that forever. And you know, as a 20-year-old guy, it's like, bro, it's time to put your big boy pants on and stop being, you know.
You want to be a boy or you want to be a man?
You know, and I have to ask myself that question. It's like, how long do you want to be a boy for? You know, do you want to be a boy forever or do you want to be a man? Because a boy can't raise a family. A boy can't have a wife. You know, like a boy can't have children because how are you going to have children and you acting like a little kid yourself?
Yeah, how are you going to take care of a family and lead a household if you can't even take care of yourself?
Right. And God calls man and woman to be man and woman, not boy and girl. You know, like we have to grow and learn. And that's something that I'm going through that process right now, especially as, you know, failing relationships are coming along. And I know that I failed in my part, you know, that I was immature and I didn't do things right. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, I know I want to do better for myself. And I know I want to do better for, of course, God, over everything. I want to do better for God. But I also have to look at, all right, well, when it's time to have a family, when it's time to have a wife, it's like, do I want to be this still little boy that can't handle anybody giving him feedback about how he's acting? Or do I want to be this man that be like, I'll take your criticism and be like, okay. Like, I can't remember exactly what book it is. It just came up in my recent quote of the days on the Bible app. And it was basically talked about, you know, you can't be a man if you can't take criticism, you know? And I was just like, dang, bro. That's the third time I came across that Bible verse. Every single time I came across that Bible verse a lot. And that's something right now, till this day, I'm going through to learn, because I don't want to be this boy trying to live this life of having wife and kids, and I can't even take care of myself. I can't even control my own emotions. I can't grow up and be like, I'm not going to let this affect everyone else around me and myself to just bring the entire mood down. I've done that before. You've been there. Like, for example, when we went to the movies, like, somebody snapped on me and I just shut down, and I didn't even go into the movies. The entire 2 hours you guys are in the movies, I was just in the car. How immature of that was me. Very immature, because it's not like suck it up, go in here and have a good time with everybody and move on from it. Grow and learn. Okay, let's just not do that again, because obviously that upsets people, right? Instead of having that mindset, I was just like, all right, well, whatever. I'll just sit in here for 2 hours. You guys go do your own thing, because I don't want to ruin your guys' mood. It's not that you're ruining. I always have this thing. It's like, all right, I'm going to sit here and just distance myself so I don't ruin people's days, or I alter any emotions from everybody else or anything. And I realize that actually does worse. It does worse than actually distancing yourself. Distancing yourself is good if you're like really, really angry at somebody and you about to rock him into the next year. That's different. Distance yourself.
Because you're doing it for safety.
You're doing it for safety rather than actually just be like, I'm going to distance myself because I'm hurting. You don't feel anything about this, but I feel so bad about this. I'm just going to step back. And then what you do, you make those people feel bad. Like, oh, man, like, it's my fault. And then they start condemning themselves. It's a lack of realization of other people's feelings. And that's definitely something that I've realized. And it's something I definitely want to start applying. Like, all right, well, let's not stay in those ways. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. But it's definitely something I want to get out of.
When I think that, like, even I agree, like, it's good to have other people's emotions and feelings into account, but I think that it's also important to acknowledge the weight that it does on you, because I know it hurts to sit there after moments like that and sit there. Yeah, and I've been there, bro. Like, I've been there. I'm like, I just need to sit here and just sit in it. But you've heard me say this a million times. There's a wolf in the light and a wolf in the dark. The one that survives is the one that you're going to feed. Doesn't matter where it is. So if you're going to sit there and you're going to sit in the dark and you're going to sit outside of the movies for 2 hours and sit in that, yeah, you're going to feel terrible the rest of the night.
I'm just stuck in my own ways.
Or if you acknowledge that wolf and choose to feed the wolf in the light, regardless of how tempting the wolf in the dark is, that one's going to grow. And I'm going to bring this up just because it was recent, but I know, like, Trunk or Treat,
yep.
I noticed that there was like a mood shift, like when you first got there, but you're like, I'm not gonna dress up, I don't want to do any of this, and I'm just gonna hang out for today. And at some point, you put on your crayon costume, you came back, and you were in a great mood the rest of the night, bro.
I was literally, it's so crazy. This is why we're great friends. Like, straight up, like, you knew I was gonna, like, you brought it up when I was just about to bring it up. Like, straight up, I was thinking, like, Trunk or Treat. Like, that was a great example, because I came back, I was in this, irritable mood. I was in this irritable mood, and it was like, I noticed it was hurting me, but I noticed it kind of affected the energy around, and I just kind of, like, everybody was asking me, you good? You all right? And I'm like, I don't want people to ask me that. Not because I don't care that they care. It's just I don't want them to come. Like, when people ask, are you all right? They know something's wrong. And I don't want people to know that there's something wrong. If it's something personal, I want to handle it personal. Personally, I want to handle that. I don't want to bring that around everybody else, because then people will feel obligated to ask me and then try to fix it. And I don't want that, because it's my problem, my issue. So I ended up leaving, of course. I was over there. I was hanging out, and I'm just like, dog, this doesn't feel right to be in this way. Like, this doesn't feel right to stay in this wicked whatever, darkness. So I went back. I sat in the car for about maybe like 10 minutes. And I'm fighting this. I'm like on my phone. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to dress up as a crayon. I don't want to be in this good mood. I don't want to do it. I don't. It was so hard. But I was like, you know what? I just need to lock in. Dog. Like straight up. I need to be a man. And this is the point where I can't go to this happy, joyful event that everybody's smiling about, and I go there and be the party pooper. Mm-hmm. That's the last thing I want to be seen as. Like, oh, well, he's coming around. Every time he comes around, he's always moping and groping and whatever. And I don't want that. And so I sat in the car, grabbed my crayon suit, and I'm just like, all right, here we go. And first people I came across was Kobe and his wife. And it was like, crayon, huh? And I'm like, yeah. Yep, sure is. It was like kind of embarrassing because I'm still kind of transitioning from that darkness, you know, to light. But then I came across Abigail and what's his name? Gage. Came across them, and he's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. And then just progressively got better after once I got over there. More interactions, people smiling and laughing at me, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm a blue crayon.
Yeah.
Like,
we out here.
Yeah, I'm a grown kid. Yeah. You know? And once I got over there, man, I was smiling, I was joking with everybody. I was like, yeah, I'm a cool blue crayon, and the night ended great. And that's just when you choose light, how much it can change. Because when you're in that darkness, you're just like, I mean, nothing's going to change. Like, I should just stay here anyway. Like, whatever. I'm not going to make...
It's familiar.
You're
comfortable there.
I'm comfortable there. And comfortability is not good, especially in situations like that. It's like, do you want to be comfortable and stay in this dark place, or do you want to be uncomfortable, go into a lighter space and, you know, make change? Because you never know. I could have stayed in that all day, and I would have missed out on everything. Everything, dude. Like, there would have been no interactions. People would have been like, well, where's Jay at? Oh, well, I don't want to hang out with him anymore. You know, like, if he's always going to act like this. And that was definitely a turning point. I was like, all right, well, we're going to start doing this more. Because it's uncomfortable, yeah. But it was changing. It changed my entire night. Because I could have stayed there and be like, oh, bro. Then I felt like dookie butt.
Yeah.
I just... Then when we went home to your house, and then it has been... Energy would have been off, you know... And I just didn't want that. You know, I was being mindful for myself, but I was also being mindful of others. I was like, okay, me being in the state that I am right now, I'm affecting everybody that knows this, what's wrong with me. I mean, I don't want that. I love people too much to be sitting here and staying in these little boy attitudes, like having these hissy fits. Like, what do you gain from that? You gain absolutely nothing. You literally gain nothing.
You lose more.
You lose more than you gain. And something I've still been struggling to pursue was pursue uncomfortable. Like, pursue that. Because if it's uncomfortable, that's good. Not always, but most of the time, especially in a situation when it comes to your own self and what you're doing, or even if when it comes to learning something. Like, I've even noticed when it goes to learning something, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm like, if I'm uncomfortable, it's good for me to learn this.
One mindset I always had in doing that is that it will be uncomfortable, but find comfort in your discomfort.
Exactly.
When you go to the gym and you're uncomfortable because that weight's heavy and you're hurting, but you enjoy it, you're comfortable in your discomfort.
You learn to embrace the discomfort. And I that's definitely something I want to grow towards. And it's that mindset I've always had. It was like, you know, I've had businesses. I've had 3 businesses. You know, I'm like, well, I didn't do it because I was comfortable doing it. Dude, I was so uncomfortable doing that. I was like, bro, I don't know what I'm doing, bro. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how to do any of this. And I just dove into it. Was it successful? No. But I learned my lesson out of it.
But think of all the stuff you learned while doing it, though.
Bro, straight up. Like, honestly, like, doing this podcast, right? The only reason why it's easy to me to edit and stuff is because years ago, I started with gaming channels. Bro, do you think I knew how to do that stuff when I first started? Bro, I was butt cheeks, dog. Like, it was so bad. But over time, what I learned out of doing that was those channels that I did were successful? No. But look at the skill that I gained. I edit. I do all these things that I do for the podcast for something that I'm extremely passionate about. Would I have ever knew that what I did 4 or 5 years ago would be put into effect to something so passionate and something that I feel like is going to be so big one day and make an impact to other people's lives? that I'm putting into this? And just think about those times where you're uncomfortable and you're just like, man, I'm not going to do that because I'm comfortable right here. I don't want to cross that line. I want to stay behind it. I want to look from the outside in and be like, that'd be cool, but I don't think I want to try it because it kind of scares me a little bit. And when you sit there behind that line, you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to grow. You're not going to progress. You're not going to do anything. You're just going to stay stagnant. Who wants to stay stagnant, bro?
Bro, when you get into that mindset, you'll sit there for the next 30, 40, 50 years
and you'll be telling
and
yourself,
wonder why you're so uncomfortable and you're so miserable and like life is just meaningless.
Yeah.
It's like, because God wants to prepare you for so much more, but you won't put in the work.
It's also like praying about things and you don't put the work in. God, I want a job.
But you don't apply.
You don't apply.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I did that before too. Like, I was praying for a job and I wasn't applying the stuff for like a couple months. And then that's why I talk to people and I'm like, all right, I need a job, dog. Like, there's no more games I can play. Because, I mean, I could still be unemployed and be like, God, please, I want a job, please. Like, it's not like he just grabs a job and be like, all right, there you go.
And it's like,
oh, yay! Like, no, God commands us to work. The Bible tells us all the time that we
be diligent.
Yeah, exactly. Be diligent and work. You know, God doesn't call us to be lazy. God does not call us to be sitting on our couch eating potato chips all day. God doesn't call us to be praying and no work. Like, that's like me battling lust. Like, God's not just be like, all right, lust gone. Like, that's not how that works, dog. Like, he's going to put tests onto me and be like, all right, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to work to not give into this? Or what? Like, you have to put the work in to avoid that. Like, I have to put boundaries up for myself and be like, all right, well, if I don't want to give into this lustful action, then I'm going to have to be like, no.
Well, and bro, people get this misconception all the time. It's like, well, if I want to stop being angry at people, God's going to have to take away my anger. If I want to stop being so impatient, God's going to have to just take away my impatience. If I want to stop being lustful, God's just going to have to take away my lust. If I want to stop doing X, Y, and Z, God's just going to have to take it away. And it's like, it's not for God to take away. It's for you to give up. It's not for God to say, give me this. It's for you to go, here, I trust you. It's completely different.
Completely different. And it's going to take some work to do that too.
I'm sure you've seen the little picture of like Jesus with the giant teddy bear behind his back and the little girl with the little tiny teddy bear.
Yeah.
And he's like, give it to me. She's like, but I love it. And I like, I know, but I have so much more for you. He's not snatching it out of her hand, even though she wants it so bad. He's not taking it from her. He's saying, give it to me. We have to give it to him so that he can replace it with what's intended for us. It's not for him to take away.
Yeah.
We give it up to him.
And then once you give it up to him, don't expect it to just be gone. Like, that's not how that really works. It's you give it to him, but he's going to test you.
And once you give it to him, don't pick it back up. Once you lay something down at the foot of the cross, leave it there. Don't pick it back up on your way out. Because it's really easy in the moment to just go, here it is, God, just take it.
Psych.
Amen. Anyway, my bags.
Right.
Yeah, like, it's a choice. It's hard.
It's not easy.
If we're going to reflect Christ, every part of Jesus' life was pretty difficult.
Extremely difficult.
Yeah,
I mean, he sweated blood.
Yeah, just like, from stress.
Stress, bro. Like,
that's insane.
Nuts. And that is medically, that is true. I looked it up.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing, dude. Like, if you're really stressing that bad and your anxiety is
blood vessels burst and you have no more sweat to sweat.
Yeah, and you just start sweating blood. Like, it's
man.
I could not imagine. Like,
I'm thinking about the most anxious I've ever been, and I wasn't sweating blood.
Yeah, like, it's nuts. Like, if you do not know if that's true or not, look it up. I'm telling you, it's a medical thing. It's so real. It's the truth. And I can't believe I can't believe he went through all that. It's
he
insane.
understands it all, man.
Dude, he understands. I mean, he literally brought himself down in a human form and said, all right, well,
everything that you're going through, I'm going to completely get it. Because we don't pray to a God who has no idea what it's like to go through human struggles. We don't. He's like, I've been there. I've been there.
I understand now.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the Old Testament, it's like, man, you remember that meme I showed you about, man, why did God end humanity? What humanity was doing?
It was just being an absolute goons.
Yeah.
It's like, That's not a loving and merciful God, bro.
Look at what
Boss
the
man.
humans were doing
Yeah, so
centuries ago.
yeah, so everything that they were doing was completely fine. And it's
Yeah.
like, all right, bro,
It's like, bro, we were
we're degenerates,
it's
straight up.
like it
deserve
was
to be
so,
getting rid of.
yeah, we got racial,
Honestly,
and
bro.
that kind of falls back into like God's wrath. Like people have this misconception of God's wrath, like, oh man, that's just like, ooh, that's
Not a loving
bad. That's
God.
bad. It's not a
Yeah.
loving God. But God's wrath is righteous anger. It's not like
Well, think of it like if you're hanging out with your family or your girl or whoever it is, some guy comes up to your girl and just smacks her butt and goes, "Yeah, that's pretty nice." Would you not be angry for her?
I'd be
Would you not be pretty upset?
I'd be pretty upset.
God feels the same way when we treat each other disrespectfully, but a whole lot more. So to say that it's unfair and it's not just is kind of bogus.
Yeah, that's
Because, like, I don't know, if you break into my house, hurt my family, do anything like that, I'm going to be pretty upset with you. I'm going to do some life-changing things to you. So not to say that I'm looking for an excuse to do that, but, like, when unjust things happen, you want there to be justice.
Absolutely. And there's a difference between man's wrath and God's wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Man's wrath does it off the emotions. We do it off of the spite of the moment, impulse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, man and woman, not just men,
Mm-hmm.
but men and women, you know, it's just impulsive. It's off of emotions. It's like, well, you did this because you did that, and I'm right, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's, you know, or whooping your kids to death, or like, you know, that's man's wrath. You know, like that's what men's wrath is. God's wrath is, you did this isn't right, but I'm gonna test you, but don't expect me to be like, oh, okay, everything's all
I'm
right.
just sweep that under the rug.
Yeah, I'm gonna sweep that under the rug.
Well, because he's a loving father, but he's also a judge.
He's also a judge, absolutely. He's also a judge, and that's where people have the misconception. Like same thing, like fear God. Like people think of like,
It's like, bro,
no,
gotta know the definition of fear, bro.
not that fear. Like it's just
Don't be afraid of it. You can't have a relationship with somebody you're afraid of.
right. That's not how that really works. You can't have a pet dog and be like, man, I don't want to, I'm scared.
I love him so much.
Don't bite me.
Yeah.
You know, like the difference between fear and just fear on this earth and fear with God, two different things. You be mindful, you have respect for him. Like you don't just sit here, oh, well, I fear the Lord. Anyway, I'm going to do what I want. You know, it's a respect thing, you know, and that's how I look at it. It could be, it's subjective. I mean, maybe there's different definitions about it, but I look at it as it's respect. You don't want to go against the grain and be like, well, all right, God, I'm going to pray to you, but I'm going to still do what I want. I'm just giving it to you because I feel like I could talk to somebody, but I just feel like there's a respect barrier there instead of just being like, I'm so scared of you, dog. I can't. I don't look at it as like scary fear. I just look at it as in like, I don't want to continuously make mistakes and not lose my salvation, because once we get salvation, we have salvation. But I don't want to disrespect I don't want to disrespect the Lord. I don't want to do that.
Well, and if you look into the actual definition of fear, it translates to awe and reverence. You treat him with awe and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how amazing you are. I can't get over your glory and your majesty and your holiness. And reverence is due to this and due to your character. I have so much respect for you, and I'm going to treat you accordingly. That's what fear is.
Fear is just respect.
Fear of the Lord is putting him in his rightful place and treating him like he's in his rightful place.
And respect him for it. You know, and that's literally, like, that's what I thought of fearing the Lord was. At first, of course, when I first got into following God and stuff, I used to always think, like, well, dang, bro, I got to be scared of this guy. And because I was going to a church that really didn't teach that. They didn't define what fearing the Lord is. They didn't define God's wrath. They didn't define any of that. They just defined, well, just follow God. You should do this, and you should do that, and you shouldn't do this, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't really know. I didn't know anything. Like, I learned so much more going to, First Baptist than I did my own church that I was going to. And I think, honestly, I thought I got saved not to say that I was or wasn't. I guess I shouldn't put it in that way. But I personally thought that I was saved at the time when I first started going to church there, got baptized, whatever, because I only did baptism because it was a goal of mine. Like, I just wanted to do it. You know,
It's just what you did.
It's just what I did. And I honestly, I kind of want to get rebaptized.
You can.
I know I can. And now that my mindset is different about, the Lord than it was last year, I feel like it would be so much more impactful, and not to say I wasn't saved last year, but I don't think I really got the whole entire concept. I don't think I believed as much because I didn't do things just for God. I did it basically for my own personal gain, and that's where it kind of just went downhill. And then I actually started looking to the Lord and be like, whoa, like this is what it is.
You understand.
It's a process of being saved. You don't just hop in and be like, all right, man, like I'm here.
I think it's simple, but it's not like immediate. I mean,
it's over time.
You can't just hear the gospel once and be like, oh yeah, I'll do that. I mean, you might. I don't know. I'm not saying that. But in most cases, you have to go through a lot to bring you to the point when you genuinely want to accept it. You have to go through a lot and think a lot and question a lot and actually come to, like, because when you're a kid and like you're brought up in the faith, I'm not saying that you can't be saved then, but a lot of the times you're just believing what mom and dad tell you because that's all you know how to do. That was the case for me. I had no independent faith in my own. I was just like, oh, I go to church every day. Oh, I don't want to go to hell. So yeah, praise Jesus. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I called myself a Christian, but like and it wasn't until like middle school and high school that I actually started like thinking about it. I'm like, is this even real? Like, what am I doing? Because I'm like, I have fleshly desires that I really like, and I also don't want to go to hell. I don't want to do this. And I started really thinking about it. And like at that point, you have to go through that stuff to genuinely actually want to accept Christ.
Yeah, and I feel like you can say as long as you can or whatever, and say like, yeah, I'm a Christian, I'm saved. I'm not saying that you may be lying, but what has God put you through to be able to be like, yeah, I choose him. Like,
bro, and that makes me think of like, you know how like Christianity is like the biggest religion in the world?
Yeah.
And I want to, like, statistically speaking, if you call yourself a Christian, I guess you identify as a Christian on that. Statistically, just because you call yourself a Christian does not make you a child of God, does not make you saved. I want to know statistically how many people are actually saved in the world.
I feel like
I guarantee it'll break my heart, bro.
I'm 100%.
So sad.
I'm 100% sure that it definitely would break my heart too, because I was also once that person saying like, yeah,
me too.
I'm a Christian. Oh yeah, I don't want to go to hell. Like, yeah, praise God. Like, I was there, dude. But then God put me in a situation. I'm just like, okay, like, yeah, yeah, you're real. I believe you. Yeah, I'm bowing down.
I'm not playing no games anymore.
I'm not messing around. Like you're not messing around. And that statistically speaking, it's like, what does that look like then? Is probably more than less, honestly. Because if I was once that person, if you were once that person, then what does it look like for everybody else? Because I know people that say like, oh, I'm Christian, I'm saved, but I don't want to put it on them that they're not saved, because I don't know. I really don't, and it's not my job to know.
Right.
But then you kind of start to question. You look at their actions and how they are. Not saying like you're perfect and you're going to figure it all out. It's hard to describe it without sounding condemning.
I mean, there's a biblical way to describe it, and it says that in the Bible it says that we'll know true believers by the fruits of their labor. It's like, okay, I'm a Christian, but I go out and I'm an alcoholic, and I go out and I cheat on my wife all the time. I go out and I do all these immoral things.
I go out.
It's like, all right, either one of those two things is true. Either you're not a Christian, and you're just claiming Christ for hell insurance. Or somehow you are a Christian, but you have just grown so incredibly callous to the conviction in your heart of the Holy Spirit tugging at you, which I'm not saying is impossible.
That's definitely possible.
But I don't know how anybody would genuinely accept Christ and truly be saved and truly love Christ, still continue down that path to the point where it's destroying them in their life, and still not want to come back to Christ, knowing full well what they're denying.
Be okay with just striving away. Like the moment I feel like I'm striving away, I'm like, I'm so sorry.
It's like, what am I doing?
I'm like, oh, like the conviction. I The conviction is always borderline for me. I'm just like, okay, I'm wrong, and I feel like I'm striving away from you, and I want to come back. Like, I'm like, Dad. Like,
I'm sorry. What am I doing?
Yeah, you know.
Dumb.
I don't, just thinking about it, I don't know how that would look.
The fact that you keep coming back means that you don't do it. The fact that you have that realization and your life hasn't ended and God hasn't taken you yet means that you haven't done it. And I think, like, there's the Bible says there's one unforgivable sin, and it's blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. And that's exactly what that is. It's that knowing, it's not having a misunderstanding of what God's offering you. It's fully understanding what God offers you and the life he has for you, and you choosing to walk away from it. It's literally like, why do people go to hell? It's because they don't want to go to heaven. They don't want to be with God. They don't want to spend time with God. They don't want to have him as a father. So they live eternity separate from him. That's the sin. That's it. It's like, it's not that God's going to send you to hell. It's that you choose to live separate from him.
It's a free will.
Yeah.
It's not like God's like, all right, well, you're out. Like, we make our own choices.
It's not like strike 3. That's it. No,
like,
it's
you're
like
done, buddy.
It's like, bro, like,
I'm gonna strike 67.
Yeah, bro. I'm on like, bro, probably in the billions.
Yeah.
Probably way higher than that.
Straight up, a sin every day.
I know, bro. But like at the same time, it's like God isn't sending you anywhere. He wants you to come home, but he won't force you to.
You have to make the decision.
Yeah, you have to come home though.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not gonna drag you by the ear. Like, come on.
You know, and that's it just keeps bringing me back. It's like, man, what does that look like? And statistically, you know, like I can't even say that word.
No, I know.
Statistically, anyway, but like, you know, numbers wise, like I couldn't even imagine what that looks like because like I said before, there's so many people that I know that say they're doing these things, but I'm looking at their actions and it's like, dog, I don't see it in you.
I'm not saying you aren't saved, but are you walking?
I'm like, are you walking? Are you walking? Or are you just sitting in the rocking chair, just sitting there? You know what I mean? And
it's like, I have no doubt you love Jesus and you're passionate about him, but like, if you're passionate about him, why aren't you showing him that? Why aren't you doing stuff for him?
Right. And I think it bothers me, especially in my house, like in my house right now. There's, I think in the kitchen, it says God, faith, and love. But I'm like, but you guys don't have that though. And it sucks because I want that for them. Like I really do. But I can lead a horse to water, but I can't force it to drink. It convicts me that I'm in a house and I see that and I'm like, but you guys are not doing things in the spirit. You guys are not praising. You guys aren't coming to church with me. You guys don't even ask me about it. You know, you don't even ask me how church is going. You know, you show no curiosity towards the Lord. And there's a difference between knowing of God and knowing God. We may never fully understand him and how he works, but when you have that relationship with him, there's different. And I don't feel like that foundation is there in that house.
And I don't want you to feel convicted for where you're at. There's no reason to feel convicted at all. You know, God tells us to be in the world, but not of it. And so you may be in a really dark place with your family and with people you're around, but God's putting you there to be a light. He's putting you there to be a lamp and to light up other people. Yeah. He's not. I know it's hard because the darkness wants to shut you out and put out your light.
Definitely.
But burn brighter, bro.
I've talked to one of the brothers at church. You know what I'm talking about. And well, I'll just say his name, Daniel. I talked to Daniel and I told him about my situation with my dad and stuff. And I'm like, man, I love the new house that we moved into. It's just the energy shifted, man. Like the reason why I'm at your house so much is not because I just man, I always want to see Jeremiah's face. It has nothing to do with that because I need my personal space. You need your personal space. And I don't always go over there to be like, I want to be here all the time because, man, this is freaking awesome. I do it because I want to protect myself and guard my heart because when I go home sometimes, it's attacked. And I don't want to be in that realm. And that's why I kind of joked around like, oh, man, I'll move in. Yeah, like, yeah, I'll do that. But, dude, I honestly, like, I'm not saying that it may or may not happen, but I've been considering it not because of I just always love being there all the time. It's just because I feel the love. I feel the peace. I feel the energy. I know God's really in the house. I feel like the house is really blessed. And it brings me sense of peace. Like I can actually like go in there and eat food without people yelling at me like, "Hey, what the heck? Like why you eat this?" Or not that happens all the time. I have freedom in the house. I can eat whatever, you know, but I just don't like being around the energy that I'm around. And the Bible calls us to, yes, love our neighbors, but also to guard your heart in Proverbs, you know, and that's what I've been doing. That's why I've been at your house so much, because I'm guarding my heart. It's gotten to the point now where it's just like, every time I go home, I'm just like, I feel that energy, and I don't like the attack on my spirit. I'm not saying that I can't overcome it, because I know I can. It's not that I don't want to. It's just, I'd rather make the decision to guarding my own heart. I want to help. You know, I want that for my dad. I want that for his girlfriend. Like, I want them to actually come to Christ and be like, hey, like, I believe. And like, if that day were to ever happen, and it may not, and I'm okay with that. I'm content with that. But the day, if that were to ever happen, I'd probably lose my mind. I will cry. I would be like, praise God, dude. That is insane. Like, that's just their choice. That's something they have to decide. And I'd invite them to church. I'd be like, hey, let's come to church. Or it's always excuses. Oh, it's too far. Or I got to work. I ain't doing all that. And I've had that excuse before. My dad came with me. It was like, oh, that's too far and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I drive that far every Sunday. Your excuse. And I want that for them, but they have to want it for themselves. And I pray about it a lot. But
and that's all we can do.
That's all we can do. I mean, there's nothing I can't just grab him by the shirt and be like, bro, you coming with, dog. Like, you better come to church. You better get your clothes on, and we going to church. I can't do that. He's a grown man, you know? Like, he has to make that decision. So that's just really why I've been at your house a lot more lately. It's just, we moved into the house with great peace. It was nice, man. I mean, I was like, finally, we're getting along. Everything's good, and there's just something just switched, and it was just like, we're right back to square one. And I try my best to handle the situations with peace and love the best I can. But there's a certain extent to it, man. It's just like, all right, well, I'm going to leave. Because I just feel like that's the best course of action. Like the day me and my dad got into it was straight up, I was already planning to come over anyway. But straight up, not even going to lie to you, I was like, as soon as after we got into it, I'm like, man, I'm taking a shower and I'm getting out of here, dog. Like straight up, not even going to sit here and wait, eat food, nothing. I'm gone. Unfortunately, the power shut off, so I had to kind of sit there for a little bit. But once the power came back on, my dad came back home, I was like, all right, bro, I'm out. Deuces. Like, no hesitation, no thinking about it. Like, I'm gone. I just don't want to sit around that energy. I don't want to sit around that, well, he's just mad at me all the time. I just feel like he's always angry about something. And I got to get out, man. And I don't want to live with my parents forever. But with this economy right now, it's kind of hard to get up and be like, I'm gone, boss man. I'm out of here. Yeah. You know, and that's why I said, like, if I were to move in anywhere, it'd probably be with you just for the season that I'm in. And then when it comes time, hopefully getting some more money coming around, getting a house or something. You know, because, man, I can't do it anymore. You know, like, honestly, like, I've gotten to the point where I'm barely home. Like, this week, I couldn't even tell you last time I was home. This entire weekend, I was at your house. Last week, I was at my house maybe 2 days out of the week, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm going back to my roots. You know, and that's what I've been appreciating about your household, is that there's no judging, there's no condemning, there's no nothing. It's just pure love and peace, and that's what I've been enjoying. And I know I need my space sometimes, so I just go to the front room or I go to the back room. I'm just like, dog, please leave me alone. Don't talk to me.
That's with everybody, though.
Yeah, that's with everybody. I mean, when the boys came over that day, and one of them was just being an absolute nut job.
You're like, all right, bro.
I'm like,
I gotta like go somewhere else.
I was like, he made my energy shift too. I was just like, all right, bro, you're doing way too much. I need to go sit by myself now, because you just did too much. And I know that I can't live with people forever. I know that I can't live with my parents forever, which is okay. I'm okay with that. But I don't want to be in a house that I'm not welcome in, or I feel like I'm not welcome in, or that I'm just a roommate, I feel like. Like, that's kind of how I feel in my house. I feel like a roommate, and it kind of sucks. But, oh, yeah, okay.
What time we got?
3:44.
3:44?
That's what time it is. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I gotta
That's
head
what
out here. But yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah.